4.5 quadratic equations. 4.5 is all dealing with finding zeros. What are zeros of a function? Zeros of a function is where it crosses the x-axis. These right here, if I were to graph, would be the zeros of that function. The way that we find our zeros is we factor, and then we set each one equal to 0 to figure out what are these actual numbers. So your first step here is to factor. So when I'm factoring this, I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to get 6, but add together to get a negative 5. So that'd be x minus 2 and x minus 3. This whole thing is equal to 0. My second step is to set each binomial equal to 0. So I'm going to have x minus 2 is equal to 0, and I'm also going to have x minus 3 is equal to 0. The reason for that is, no matter what, if this was 0 or this one, it makes the whole equation 0. And then my third step of the problem is to solve. So my zeros of this function would be x is equal to 2, because I have to add 2 to both sides for the first one, and x is equal to 3, because I have to add 3 to both sides for the second one. And that would be the solutions to my quadratic equation. This one is the same process, except there's just one more step. My first step here is to set this equal to 0. So if I set this equal to 0, I still have my x squared minus 7x. And then to move the 12 over, I have to add 12 to both sides of the equation. So I'm going to have plus 12 is equal to 0. Now, I'm going to factor it. So I'm going to have x minus 3 and x minus 4. Again, two numbers that multiply to get 12, but add together to get 7. And then you set each one equal to 0. So x minus 3 equal to 0, x minus 4 equal to 0. And finally, you're going to solve. So I have x is equal to 3, because we have to add 3, and x is equal to 4, so I'd have to add 4 to 0. I will be going over this in class, but if you would like to have a reference on how to use your calculator to help you on these problems, you should write this down, or you should write this down. Either way, two different ways of using your calculator to help you find the zeros. Right now, I want you to attempt this problem by yourself. First step you should do is rewrite it so it says equal to 0, and then factor. I will be factoring the trick way. Once you factor, you should solve and find the solutions to the quadratic equation. X is equal to 3 and 1/4. Again, I would like you to try to solve this one by yourself. Your answer should be x is equal to negative 6 and 4. Those are the solutions. The solutions meaning if I were to graph this, zeros would be where it crosses the x-axis, like so. Have a great, grand, wonderful day. Make sure you wrote down all the problems. See you next time.